Resiland is a project where we are trying to hear from children what is their perspective about risk and protection. In a lot of instances, the protection system, the so-called protection system in the various countries, pretend to know what is protection, but rarely listen to the children. So with Resiland, we try to understand what is the perception of what is risky and what is protective for a child, without assuming anything, just with an attitude of listening to the voice of children. We think that the right to participation of migrant children in determining responses and initiatives and strategy is really key to have some success in terms of the result of what we are doing. Resilience is the capacity not to be damaged by something that happened to you, but on the contrary, sometimes also be reinforced by your experience. We choose this term because we really wanted not to see just the vulnerability of children, but their resources.
So in order to listen to children's voice, which was the main purpose of this project, we decided to organize a series of laboratories to create meta-stories with children. So in order not to be intrusive and to ask their personal experiences that maybe they didn't want to share because they didn't know us very well, we decided to create together a fiction, let's say, with an imaginary character that was called Resiland. So, following the migration cycle and the 6 chapters that were home, decision to leave, departure, travel, arrival and settlement, we created a new story based on their experiences. So they had the possibility to share whatever they wanted. Then we tried to identify with children the factors of risk and protection of these stories. And at the end, in the last session, we read all the story again, and we tried to evaluate together with them all the experience in order for them to be meaningful.
My name is Resiland. I am 18 years old. I come from a country very far from where I live now. Here you will find my story together with some things that have been important along my travel. I know that every person is different and every story is not the same. Nevertheless, I try with my narration to propose my advice and hints that I think it could be important to face the problems that every traveler encounters along the way. Every story is like a tree with leaves, branches, colors that always unique and different. I hope that sharing my story could be of some help. I hope you will enjoy my story, and I wish you the best for your precious one.
Their lifestyle story has such an important bearing on informing our own understanding of the needs of that particular child and what services that child is entitled to and is required. Resiland, in the concept and the approach that's currently being provided, I feel has demonstrated clearly the need to understand the experience of that child's story, their home experience, what that situation has created to require that child or force that child to enter into that journey to another part of the world.
I come from a country very far from here where I live with my families in a large community with lots of friends. I went to school. I enjoy playing football, but also work to support my parents. In the afternoon, I used to help my father with his activities. We have a small field where we used to grow vegetables. My mom is very good at cooking, then with rice and sometimes meat. The moments I liked most at home was the time to go to bed. I had my own room. It was small, but it was my own place. There I was free to think and dream about my futures.
I feel that if that home narrative is understood, the child has an opportunity to express that, follows that child through their life and through their story for the services, the organisations, whoever they may be, to provide that direct intervention for that child based around what they need and what they see they need.
In the migration cycle, the decision to leave of the child, it's very important because that will affect the rest of the process of the migration cycle. For example, if the decision to leave has been forced or is a voluntary decision or it is pushed because a violation, a situation of violation, that will mark completely the child in the rest of the process. Will affect also the behaviors, the identity, the way it related in the process, in the next steps, and in particular its self-esteem.
At one point, the situation in my country became difficult for different reasons. After some discussion at home, we decided that the best thing to do was to leave the country in order to find better opportunity, earn some money and help the family from distance. I could come back once the situation improved.
The stories of trafficked children are very, very important to understand if we want to tackle child trafficking across the world. The narratives and the stories that the children tell is the information that will help us tackle the issue. It gives us information about their perspectives, about their situations, and about, more importantly, what makes them vulnerable to trafficking and exploitation. Why they left, were they forced to leave, did they choose to leave and then become exploited later on. It helps us understand the nature of trafficking because it's a very complex crime, a very complex issue. The only way we can reduce trafficking is if we understand what makes children vulnerable to trafficking, and whether that's poverty, lack of education, lack of opportunities, social, economic issues, family breakdown. It's only when we really listen to this that we understand why, and it is only if we understand why that we can actually do something about the problem and put in place the protections that are needed to stop child trafficking.
We have to consider the departure like a very important moment, because, like the word said, the departure create a first part and a second part in the biography of the migrant. So this moment created like two parts, and maybe with the Resiland Project we can do something to try to understand if we can discuss and share some tools to unify this part in the biography of the migrant.
Arrangement for my departure was not easy. My family collected some monies from my travel. They had to sell a small field where was used to cultivate some vegetables, and they borrowed some monies from a relative. My father got in touch with someone who organized the journey. I had to join a group of persons who were leaving the country like me. I knew it would be a hard journey, full of difficulties. I heard some stories of persons who left and never sent back any news to their families, or others who traveled last years. At the end, they were sent back to the village with nothing, but they decided to leave again. I have also heard of some positive stories. Friends who had left and were living in comfortable houses with waters, electricity, and a big television. Every month they were able to send some monies home.
The departure happens because there are some risks if we talk about the experience of that child. If we focus on trafficking for a moment, the situation at home creates a highly risky scenario where that child is open to exploitation, abuse, criminal activity at the hands of traffickers, wherever that may be. Understanding as professionals the start of that process, the experience of that child is crucial. Not only in understanding what needs that child has, but also what some of those drivers are that create the situation for them to be exploited.
So in my experience, the journey may be an important part of the migrant child's life, or it may not be, depending on whether the journey was short or long, and on the route and on the means of transportation also. I mean, a child traveling by boat or by flight or walking through the desert. There are really different situations, implying different consequences on the child. Some may also experience traumas during the journey. So as a professional, I think it's very important to consider the journey as an important dimension, or a possibly important dimension.
My travel was long and tiring, and I had to face a lot of challenges. I find myself in very dangerous situation, and I lost my ID document. Sometimes I was afraid to die and my faith and memories were the only life. Fortunately, I was able to let my family know that was okay. But I missed their presence and their support a lot.
We have children who travel for weeks, months, sometimes years to reach our country, and they put in place enormous capacities, enormous resources. We think that we can discuss protection just by considering these resources and not just their vulnerability.
This is important, the way you give the children time to think and to decide, living in an appropriate place, think about the future, think about the plans, and not to be pushed and pressed to do it quickly without knowing the reason why. So it's the basic element for us, especially in my country, to have the time to help him decide the right way for his own best.
When I arrived in the new land, I was disoriented and lost. Everything was so different and strange. But I made it. A lot of persons tried to interview me. I do not understand them quite easily at the beginning, but then it became better with the help of a guys who helped me with the translation. I was scared to talk to people. Often I did not feel welcome. I could not demonstrate my age. I had lost my document during the trip. Luckily, I was recognized as a minor and got some food and a place to sleep. I met some guys from my country who had faced the same traveling experience, and we stay united in order to support and encourage each other.
I will use just a part of one story from the teenagers that they said that they arrived in an island. The police were waiting for them. So the only context of the arrival procedure, it was them meeting the police, and after some days of detention, then they saw and they met some social workers or psychologists in order to discuss with them about their issues. So the arrival for them, in the part of that story, it was the hardest issue that they faced even during the whole travel.
Listening provides us with the opportunity to appreciate the centrality of the child, the fact that this child is holding rights and is not just someone that expresses vulnerability and needs, but just also capacity.
Being here in this new country is not easy. I took some time to orient myself, learn the new language and understand the rules. But my most urgent need was to find a job to send money back to my family. I know that my father has to pay back some money, He borrowed a lot of money to pay my trip. I was aware that in order to find a job, I had to study. I had to communicate a new language. And to lead a good life, I had to make a new friends and avoid dangerous situations. Once I got into some troubles with the police, but at the end everything settled down. In many occasions, I thought to go back to my country, but I am trying to earn enough money to allow my brothers to reach me and maybe also my parents.
It was really a great experience because we tried to connect with them and establish relation with them. And we had also fun together because we tried to create a child-friendly environment for them. We listen. I think that it's one of the most important issues of the project, listening.
Listening is very important in order to appreciate that there are not just migrants, but there are persons and there are stories. There is a past, there is a present, and there is a future in every person, and every child is bringing this.
This is my story and some of the learnings that I gained from it. Perhaps my thought and reflection will be useful for you to understand and guide your own story and to draw a map for your safety and success. I wish you to grow at best the unit tree of your life.